What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of VCC Live. This is episode 30. wINdiana. Clever, huh?
What?
wINdiana. Get it? Trumpulagations. We'll explain to you what Trumpulagations are. And raise taxes and ages. It's supposed to say and ages. I'll fix that because that works. I had to put the sarcastic touch to it there. So what's up, everyone? Hope you're having a great night. Right at the top, I will tell you guys and remind you throughout. Please, if you haven't yet, remember to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little subscribe button somewhere on this thing right now that you're watching. And don't forget to hit that like button real quick. So we'll get started with how you been doing. Jay, what's been up this week? How you doing?
I'm doing well, but I just have to say your capitalization skills in the title of this video are horrid.
wINdiana?
With wINdiana, yeah. Capital I-N?
Yeah, Indiana. If you abbreviate.
Oh,
Indiana.
Yeah, that's terrible. You thought way too much about that.
Thank you. I typed it about 6 minutes ago, and it was no thinking at all. But thank you for that positive and upbeat start.
That's awful. It's like I don't know if there are any programmers listening, but that's like demented camel case. Yeah. Anyway, what have I been up to? Working, day job, night job. Not much time for much else, including family. So, over to you, Nick.
Yeah. Wow. That's on that note. But you have enough time for VCC Live.
That's good. My wife's drunk. No.
Okay. Good.
That's good. That's good that you're here. We're glad that you're dedicated. Nick, how are things? You moved. You've been with us last week. What's up?
Good. Yeah, good. Things are good. I moved, which is just the most awful experience a person can go through, I think. It's the worst. I hate packing. And usually unpacking is like the fun part. Like you get to decide where to put things and hang things and arrange your furniture. And like it's not necessarily the fun part, but it's less obnoxious than packing. But I have such little storage space in this new apartment that I ended up having to throw away like 60% of my possessions in order to live here. So a purge is always good, but we're finally settled in, and yeah, it feels good, man. I just jumped right back into the grind. We moved Saturday. On Sunday, we were unpacking, and on Monday, I was shooting video again for Tuesday Bro Tuesday, shooting reviews, then the vlog, then just jumped right back in, like trying not to miss a beat.
That's awesome. I hate moving, by the way. It's one of my least favorite things on earth to do. I hate it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I tend to pay friends and family to do it for me.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I'll take apart the bed and stuff. Like I'll do that kind of stuff, but like lugging shit around,
It's the worst. And all we did was pack. Like, this is the first time I've ever hired someone, like a company, to move your stuff. And once you do that, you realize why there are professional movers and why you are not one of them. Mm-hmm. Because they're incredibly efficient and fast, and they are good with moving, oddly sized objects down hallways,
angles,
and stairs, and they, angles. It was unbelievable. I was like, well, I mean, now I know that's why they are professionals, and I am an idiot because they are much better at this than me.
Pivot.
That's
why you shoot videos and they move.
Yeah, exactly. That's why everyone has their place.
Wait till you have to deal with a house closing and moving.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Trust me.
No, thanks.
So I'll start off my how the week went with our quote this week. The price of success is hard work, dedication to the job at hand, and the determination that whether we win or lose, we have applied the best of ourselves to the task at hand. I thought it was appropriate to use a Vince Lombardi quote with the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. And, it also applies to Indiana. Success and hard work and dedication to the job at hand, determination, and they had a good result this week, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. But beyond that, hopefully we can get rid of that Patriots background next week when the Hawks stomp New England into the mud hole.
I also may not know who Vince Lombardi is because I am not a sports guy. The name sounds familiar.
He was a coach of the Green Bay Packers, and they also named the Super Bowl trophy the Vince Lombardi Trophy after him.
Soon to be named the Belichick Trophy. Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
But only cheaters can win it. I'm just kidding. You're number one too, Jay. Mm-hmm. But no, seriously, yeah, it's a really good quote, and it really does apply to all aspects of life, including advocacy, by the way, because as we can see and we can talk about. I guess we did a bit of news. I don't remember if I talked about it last week or not, but we did change the date for VCC Tampa to June instead of March. There were just too many events going on in March. And actually, you know what? Let's do a little recap because I said last week, and Matt couldn't be with us tonight, unfortunately. He's having something with his family came up, and he could not make it be with us tonight. But we talked last week, Jay and I did. I don't know if you watched it or not, Nick, in the middle of your moving and videos and all the stuff that you do. But we talked about the Tobacco Plus Expo that was going on in Vegas, and if it was contradictory for vape companies to attend a tobacco event. So I don't know if you saw it or not, but what do you think, just off the top of your head? Is we got mixed reactions, and I wasn't neither for nor against it. I was just asking people what they thought. If they thought it was contradictory.
But Kevin and I got into a virtual fist fight over it, though. Yeah. All the same.
I didn't sleep with Jay for a week because of it.
I didn't get to watch that episode, but I think that's fine. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. I think what's a better place to get smokers than at a tobacco convention?
Yeah, but it's a B2B, though. A lot of people have that misconception. There weren't smokers there. It was businesses only. And, I understand the point of why the vaping companies were there. They're trying to get into tobacco retail outlets in order to reach smokers and stuff like that. But my point was, I was wondering if anyone else, if they thought about this, how we say we're not tobacco. Let's go to a tobacco convention. I don't know. I don't disagree with it. I think it is a great way to get into retail shops to reach smokers. And I just wonder what it does for us on a PR level.
Probably not much. If that's the main goal, if the goal is to get your products into tobacco shops, so that you can have more exposure to smokers, then that makes sense to me. A number of years ago, we picked up a wholesale account that was Wild Bill's Tobacco Shops, and this guy has hundreds of shops throughout Michigan and in the South, and we were sort of conflicted on whether or not we wanted. He carried mostly tobacco, some vape stuff. And then he had a couple shops that were just vape shops. And so we were conflicted as to whether or not we wanted to be in just vape shops or if we wanted to take, this account and distribute into tobacco shops. And ultimately we decided that's the best way to get to smokers is to get into tobacco shops, because the chances of a smoker walking into a vape shop versus a tobacco shop, chances are they're going to go into a tobacco shop first, and if they see vape gear in there, then that's just a chance for them to see it and try it and use it. And I don't see any problem with it, honestly. Zero.
I was just taking a picture. I think that was a general consensus, by the way. So I was just taking a picture to advertise VCC Live. So if you guys want to share it real quick, everyone, if we're not friends on Facebook, I'll make this public. But let's see, maybe you can share this picture and we can get some more people live in the chat.
Share this picture. All right.
I'm posting it on Facebook in just a second.
I'll believe it when I see it. I don't believe it yet. Thrilling entertainment right here.
Yeah, you guys talk about something.
Kevin.
Well, I was just going to say that there aren't many times. Usually, when Nick has an opinion, I have to find something to disagree with. But everything that you just said is pretty much exactly what I said last week. So I have nothing to disagree with. You're spot on.
There you go. A lot of our ideologies, Jay, seem to fall into the same trench.
Absolutely.
Except for, I think all vapors should wear flat bill snapback hats. That's just what I think. So you may or may not agree with that as well. Probably not.
I think that most of them shouldn't.
I think that they all can decide whether they want to or not. How about that?
All right, cool. The picture's up and it's public. Nice. So we still have 45 minutes left. If you want to just look me up on Facebook, Kevin Skipper. I don't know how many there are, but we'll probably have friends in common. And share the picture. I put the link. So, yeah, cool. Anyway, we'll give you guys a second to do that. Let's see if there's any comments, if anyone had anything to say. Don't forget to hit that like button if you're joining us and you joined us just after I already mentioned it, just after the first time I mentioned it when I mentioned it earlier.
Nick has a stalker in the room. I'm just throwing that out there.
Who's the stalker?
I do.
Miss Maisie May.
Okay, Maisie May. Well, thank you for all the green hearts. I appreciate that.
That's sweet. That is sweet.
Yeah. We love Nick. Well, I like Nick. I wouldn't say I love you, Nick. You're a pretty cool guy.
Oh, come on. You don't. I love all my friends.
This show typically in the morning times. It used to be Fridays at noon, but we changed it over, I don't know, a month or maybe more ago. I'm not sure when. 2 Thursdays at 8.
Probably, I started my day job November 28th. So it's been coming up on 3 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, it's been a while. Weeks to me are passing by like days. It's ridiculous how fast.
It is. I need a nap.
The time is going by.
Yeah.
All right, cool. No really earth-shattering comments to catch up on. So let's get into Indiana really quickly here. I don't know. I'll put some links in the replay description down below. I don't know if there's really any articles that we need to bring up and talk about. Amy Lane, who is with the Indiana Smoke Free, what did she say? She wrote something. Indiana Smoke Free Association. I'm just going to actually, you know what? I will flip over to this real quick so you guys can see it on the replay. Let's see. Full monitor. Oh no, I hit email. Okay, whatever. She had a PSA the other day, and she was basically explaining to people because companies were thinking to themselves they're automatically going to so basically what happened was the federal says, great news for Indiana. This was my post the other day with respect to out-of-state manufacturers. The beginning and the end for the absolutely terrible legislation passed in 2015. Great job to everyone involved. And now I'm not going to be able to get rid of all these things. Sorry, guys. One sec. Oh. Isn't technology wonderful?
Sometimes.
Okay. And then I said, great job, everyone involved. For these reasons, this is a quote from the ruling by the federal court. For these reasons, we reverse the district court's grant of summary judgment to the defendant, state officials, and remanded the district court to declare the challenge provisions unenforceable against out-of-state manufacturers and to enjoin their enforcement against the plaintiffs. These instructions apply to the following provisions, and it goes on to give the provisions. I'll post the link to this stuff in the description, and this was the clarification because really briefly here, I guess everyone was thinking, oh, wow, okay, the federal court of appeals ruled against the judge from the original ruling, and wow, the Indiana market's back wide open to out-of-state manufacturers of e-liquid. So Amy Lane with the Indiana Smoke Free Association wanted to put this information out there. It says PSA for immediate release. This was yesterday. I put it out. ISFA is asking all companies throughout the nation to be patient through this process. There are a lot of moving parts in play, and immediate access to Indiana is not possible today. Please contact ISFA for questions. We are here to help.
Legally possible.
The ultimate and permanent fix lies with SB 1, which is Senate Bill 1, which will truly bring access back to Indiana. ISFA is working directly with Senator Randall Head, the bill's sponsor, along with leadership in the Senate and House, to incorporate the new federal ruling into SB 1. We are confident SB 1 will be a vehicle that returns business to Indiana and allows reasonable regulations to ensure the safety of Indiana consumers. This is some clarifications from the Federal Court of Appeals. No companies cannot start selling in Indiana immediately. Manufacturers, distributors, brand holders, or retail companies who are located outside of the state of Indiana cannot sell into the state without a permit issued by the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. In-state companies must still follow the current law that is in place. Retail can only purchase from the 7 current permitted manufacturers in the state. The permit application period closed as of June 30th, 2016 for the in-state and out-of-state companies to obtain an Indiana manufacturer's permit. So what that means is, even though the federal court overturned this decision, people still can't apply for it because the period closed, 7 months ago? The Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission cannot issue new permits or additional manufacturers to produce e-liquid in or to be sold in Indiana until the District Court for the Southern District of Indiana has received the certified opinion from the 7th Circuit and issued its revised final order consistent with the appellate court ruling. That's from the ATC website. All the current violations, fees, etc. are still in effect for Indiana businesses. ATC can still choose to enforce these on your business if you are not carrying products from a valid permit holder. Show your support for SB1 by donating and revel in the victory that the Right to Be Smoke-Free Coalition has won. This sends a powerful message to all state houses in the union that putting onerous laws on the books clearly violates the state's ability to dictate monopolistic provisions to other states via extraterritorial reach. This is a victory on precedents, and these types of violations will be deemed unconstitutional. I know that was a lot of reading. I went over it really quickly, but I think you guys get the point. Amy was just saying, we won, but chill for a second. It's going to take a little bit of time for us to get things back in order in Indiana for out-of-state manufacturers to begin selling here again. You guys hear anything different than that, or what are your thoughts on what transpired?
You go first, Nick. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I assumed that it was going to be a while before. I mean, obviously something has to. I don't know. I was kind of looking at a longer timeline, like it's going to be a few months before we're able to sell into Indiana again. I didn't think it was going to be like a right away, like, oh, here it's unconstitutional, and then the floodgates open up again. I mean, I figured it was going to take a long time.
Now, along that point, I always thought that once a law was judged unconstitutional, anyone who is deemed to have broken that law is, de facto innocent.
Well, there were other regulations there that people still had to comply with.
Okay, so there were other aspects of that law that people. So, I mean, I guess I'm kind of pessimistic about it to the effect that it seems like the state legislature basically cut off vaping's leg, and now the judicial branch of the federal government handed us a Band-Aid.
Well, no, I mean, I think
they absolutely destroyed the vaping industry in Indiana overnight, and now
let's
maybe a year from now people will start to be able to sell products in Indiana again.
I don't think it was overnight. I mean, to be fair, there was a lot of notice on this, and Indiana could have organized probably a lot sooner and a lot better than they did to fight the original bill.
Believe me, I commend them for the amount of work that they were able to do. I mean, there's nothing, given the situation over there, there was nothing, it couldn't have gone any better for us to this point. But, I guess I'm just, everybody's saying hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. And I'm just thinking, like, boots to the ground, people are still hurting in Indiana. And they're going to be hurting for quite some time. How long is it going to take for this bill to pass?
You know why we always say get involved early, get involved.
But yes,
because you want to prevent it. You know what? Even if they are able to fix this, which they are going to fix this in Indiana, how many businesses went out of business over the last 6 to 8 months because of this stupid ass shit?
Exactly.
You have to get involved on the front end. You have to stop this stuff from passing because
it just feels like handing a Band-Aid to somebody who's already bled to death.
Well, no, I think they're going to correct the situation. It's too late for a lot of businesses and a lot of employees and a lot of workers. And unfortunately for vapors, they've been suffering by paying higher prices. And maybe it's turned away smokers from trying vaping as an alternative because of their stupidity in the state of Indiana, the legislators. And I think that the federal court, and again, this is what happens with the legal system. Yeah, sometimes it works out in your benefit and it's awesome, but it takes a long time and it's very expensive. So this is a lesson learned in Indiana. I think they're going to get it turned around. I think it's a great thing for vaping in Indiana. If you're not a member of the ISFA and you do business in Indiana, why aren't you? Do it now, support them. They need all the help they can get to get.
Yeah, I mean, don't let this happen again. If we are able to grow industry again in Indiana, We don't want to freaking lose it again,
right?
The way that we did.
And let it be a lesson to every other state out there. So yeah, it really is a great win, and we're glad to see it for Indiana. But it was a long, hard road for those folks there, and for the businesses who were able to hang on. Congratulations to you guys, and we wish you the best.
And I can't imagine how much money it cost them to fund this litigation.
Oh yeah.
Well,
a lot.
The right to be smoke-free was originally formed to go after this legislation in Indiana, not the federal lawsuit that it eventually took on, which I think the right to be smoke-free has done a great job over the last couple of years, and kudos to those folks for, putting it together and continuing with the passion to keep the vaping industry alive through litigation. They're doing good work there. So if you haven't supported the right to be smoke free, make sure you check them out as well. Just Google right to be smoke free,
and find out who in your state, as far as associations, has a lobbyist or has connections with lobbying firms in the state. That's where you want to concentrate your efforts, because if you already have a lobbyist, that means you already have a relationship with the politicians, and it's much easier if you do it that way to get in front of bills before they pass.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, 2017 is going to be, this is the beginning of the new legislative season. So I saw a post on Reddit just the other day that was talking about there's 13 more states in addition to California and Hawaii that have scheduled House bills that are adding vaping to tobacco products. They're adding a tax to that tobacco product, and then they're raising the age to 21. This is this is going to happen across the country.
This was the.
Oh yeah.
We can do it out of order. It doesn't really matter, but we can talk about this now. But that's the last part of the title for this week's episode: raise taxes and ages, because that works. Okay. Obviously, because that works is sarcastic. Because it doesn't work. If minors want to get access to tobacco, they're going to. And raising taxes obviously doesn't work, because it's been tried for over the last 20 or 30 years in every state. You could raise it to probably, even in New York, they're $15, $20 a pack for cigarettes. People are still smoking them.
It can be argued that the raising of taxes is partially what gave birth to the e-cig industry.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, because as long as again, that's one of the things I always say. If the price of vaping ever becomes as much as smoking, which over the last year and a half or two, it probably is approaching it. That's going to act as a deterrent for smokers to try vaping.
It's going to be a harder switch. It's still a net gain in my personal view. It's still a net gain to switch to vaping, whether it's just as expensive as smoking or not. But certainly it's one less thing that we can point to when we're trying to get people to make the switch.
Yeah, I would give you an example. When I started vaping in 2013, early 2013, it was I was spending about $300 a month on Marlboros in Florida. That's about what the price of cigarettes was compared to how much I was smoking. It was about $300 a month, and I immediately went down to probably $50-$60 a month. Of course, all that was on the market mostly at that time was cheap Chinese e-liquid, but it worked to keep me off of cigarettes. Now that's a huge savings, and that's what governments should be. Their philosophy is ass backwards though. Let's raise the price, and people will stop buying them. But people don't stop buying cigarettes. Doesn't matter what you make. They're going to.
And that creates a dependence on that tax money, because now the tax revenue's gone through the roof. Now they don't want people to stop smoking.
Right. Exactly. And they don't ever appropriate it how they say they're going to. Again, we've talked about this before with sin taxes. The money theoretically goes into an account that helps pay and defray increased medical expenses in the future when smokers do get sick, because they will get sick at some point from using combustible tobacco. What they end up doing is putting it in the general fund and using it for pet projects or whatever the hell they want to. So whenever they need money, what do they look to? Tobacco. They're going to raise money on tobacco, raise taxes, and it does not work. It just doesn't work. All it does is get them more money, and it's usually.
But it's an easy bill to pass.
Yeah, absolutely, because smokers just lay down and take it, and
we're ashamed. Smokers are ashamed.
Yeah, smokers are they don't. They're not going to fight back. They're just going to say, "Oh shit, cigarettes are going up $1 a pack." Oh well. And they're going to keep smoking.
Got a budget for that now.
So, yeah, that's the taxes part of it. Taxes are going to be, we're going to see increases, attempts at increasing taxes in several states this year. We're going to see several attempts to raise the age of smoking or vaping to 21. Massachusetts, Arizona just came out with something. I don't know. There's a ton of states coming out with this, raising the age to 21. And have you guys seen any other besides those? I know I have. I just off the top of my head can't recall what they were. Arizona did.
Connecticut, Iowa is, Texas is as well, and North Dakota is. It's odd because they're trying to change the age to 19. Which, what the fuck? Okay. Why not 18 and a half? I mean, that just seems so superfluous. Like
I'm 23 and 3/4.
Yeah. 1 year. In 1 year, you change so much that you can't smoke at 18, but you can smoke at 19. Like, you just have to draw the line somewhere and leave the line there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're either an adult or you're not an adult.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it should be that way across the board.
Absolutely, it's a much broader discussion, but I 100% agree. Like, we need to pick the age of majority and stick with it across the board.
Is this,
stop saying like at 18 you can smoke. You know, at 21 you can drink. At 23 you can rent a car. Like, it's like it's such craziness. Like, either you're an adult or you're not. Either you're responsible for your own actions or you're not. Like, stop babying people to the point where we're still babies at 35 years old.
Yeah.
Did we find a point that we all agree on? Completely agree?
I think it should be 18.
That's crazy. I think it should be 18 as well for everything.
It should be 18 and snapback hats.
16%.
All right, that's the show, folks. Have a good night. We appreciate you tuning in. Let's go back and look at some comments because I'm just checking them out. Matt White says, where are we at on the big lawsuit going on now? The right to be smoke-free /Nicapura and Halo lawsuit. The judge has it for consideration. The oral arguments were made. I mean, we're just waiting right now for a decision from the judge in that case. So no new developments that I've heard yet. Jose Cardenas says, we're in for a fight here in Arizona where AB 1517 was just introduced, which amounts to a 95% wholesale tax on all vapor products. That is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, that's unbelievable because Arizona was previously a very vape-friendly state. There were some vape vendors, including Mount Baker, that moved there on purpose from non-vape friendly states to Arizona because Arizona is generally good for small businesses. And I mean, 95% wholesale tax? That's unbelievable. That's obscene.
And it's kind of bad strategy on their part, considering what's going on in Pennsylvania, where, you know, an equally or even worse tax was proposed there and passed. And now there's all this backlash. Like, why would Arizona think that they'd have any better luck?
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea. I did read a great quote the other day that said, you don't pay taxes, they take taxes.
Correct.
When you think about it that way, it kind of makes me upset paying taxes. I mean, it always has, but it kind of makes you more upset paying taxes.
Oh, I could quote some stuff for you that would make you lose sleep at night.
Yeah, I don't know. It's insanity, and this is the result, in my opinion, of the FDA dropping the deeming regulations because now states see vapor product. Before it was kind of a gray area, and they weren't really sure. There was no guidance from the federal government, and once the FDA said these are deemed tobacco products, the states their eyes went like this. They're dried up little pocketbooks because they spent all our money on every other thing else in the world. Went, hooray, yay, look at all the money we're going to get now from vapor products. So all I can say is whatever state you're in, wherever you're watching from, even if you're not watching from the U.S., if you're watching replay from somewhere else, be vigilant, get involved, make sure you're proactive instead of reactive because being reactive sucks. Costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time, wastes a lot of energy. So
don't retire like I did.
Don't retire. Well, and there's a lot of states that have never been on like the advocacy radar before. States like Iowa and Nebraska that you never hear anything about, like calls, CASA calls to action. It's always like California and Washington State and New York. And now there's all these states that we never really hear from before that are now suddenly trying to do the same thing.
Right.
They're just following suit with the rest of the country. It's like, have we ever had a call to action in Nebraska before? Ever?
I promise you, if there is a government anywhere that's not making money off of a product, you might think that they've been dormant. And maybe the vapors in that state have been dormant and the businesses have been dormant, but I promise you the politicians haven't.
Yeah. Well, and Nebraska's one of those. They have, which one is it? Nebraska LB 73, which is raising the minimum age to 21 and applying a tax on tobacco, vapor products, and alternative nicotine products.
Right. So
yeah, so that's the thing that's going to happen.
2017 is going to be the year of state legislation, anti-vaping state legislation, whether it be ages, whether it be taxes, whether it be classifying as tobacco products, amending Clean Indoor Air Acts to include vapor. We're going to see the gamut of it this year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Now it's funny. In Massachusetts we were deemed a tobacco product by the Attorney General. It wasn't even through the Mass Legislature that it happened. It was kind of awkward, but that's Massachusetts.
Yeah, no, we don't talk about that a lot on here. And attorneys general, I think that's how you say that, Pearl, are people that get ignored or overlooked quite a bit, but they have a lot more power than you would think. If they wanted to deem something illegal in their state, they can do that, and then it has to go through a whole process to have it undone. And they can do it without any. I mean, they just say no vaping in public.
Yeah,
we're going to add it to the existing Clean Indoor Air Act, and that's just the way it is. If you don't like it, challenge it and see if we're right.
Right.
So yeah,
take it to court, which costs probably millions of dollars. But yeah, I mean, they were able to unilaterally do that without no legislative session, no debate, no nothing. Here it is. Here you are. Yep. You're a tobacco product. Now, fortunately, it didn't really end up meaning very much in Massachusetts at the state level. I mean, some people stopped doing sampling. There was some talk about, charging a nominal fee for sampling, but not too much changed as far as that was concerned in Massachusetts. And they have not, to this point, gone after taxes. I mean, we are facing a 21 plus bill. But they're not going after taxes. And I sat down and I looked the head of the health commission, the state representative, looked her in the eye, and she told me we are not going after taxes for e-cig products. And that was a year ago? Not even a year ago.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's it's a way to sneak things in. And you say it hasn't happened, but I just say it hasn't happened yet. It just opens up the floodgates for something to happen in the future when they decide to. They're doing the prep work, and then when they need to, they can. Rob says, is Kevin's mic going nearly silent at times for anyone else? I've listened to replays when people say my mic is low, and it sounds fine to me, so I'm not really sure.
It's part of the Skype issue. That's just a normal Skype issue that typically happens, especially when nobody's wearing headphones, especially the host.
No.
But
he says he keeps raising the volume, and Nick and Jay are getting louder, but Kevin isn't audible half the time. Can the rest of you guys just give us a +1 if you can hear me okay? I'm not sure what it is.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. You sound great. Jay sounds great. Jay
if I
says...
If I sit this close to my mic, you can't see my
Kevin.
lips moving.
Everyone says it's okay, so I'm not sure, Rob, what's happening with that. I apologize. If I can find a way to fix it, I will. Maybe it's something to do with in XSplit, I have Jay and Nick pulled in as a screen capture, and if we're trying to talk at the same time, maybe the audio is cutting out on me or something. I don't know. I'll try to be quiet until they stop talking. Maybe that'll help. Anyway, so let's move on from that. So yeah, raising taxes and ages don't work. Unfortunately, we get that, but the people who we elected to represent us do not get that. And until we can make them understand that and educate them on that, it's going to continue going the same way. So yeah. The next topic we had, and the last topic that we had scheduled anyway, is called Trumpulagations. That has to do with Donald Trump and regulations. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but Trump issued an executive order this past week that said if any agency wanting to pass a regulation has to repeal two existing regulations. I think it's, and also I think that the Trump administration is going to work towards repealing 75% of the regulations that are currently out there that inhibit businesses, especially small businesses, from starting and or growing. And I think that it's going to be a good thing for the vaping industry. Hopefully they include the FDA deeming regulations in that. But I have an article here that I'm going to try to move over to, possibly. And this is from the Washington Examiner. It says, and I'll post the link in the description, how Trump can stop e-cigarette prohibition and reform public health. Federal tobacco policy is failing the American public and destroying businesses across the country. Only sweeping reforms can protect public health and save an entire industry from prohibition, according to a new report from the R Street Institute. Prohibitive regulation of e-cigarettes and reduced risk tobacco products, combined with a public health establishment committed to an ideology of nicotine abstinence, is creating an environment where Americans will find it harder to quit smoking and save themselves from an early death, the report argues. I'll skip over that section there. It says, with the advent of e-cigarettes and the possible introduction of heat-not-burn products onto the market, smokers can mimic the experience of smoking and get the nicotine they desire while significantly reducing their risk for deadly disease. But thanks to draconian regulation and misleading information from ideologically driven public health authorities, the opportunity for a revolution in tobacco harm reduction is being lost, and the American public will suffer as a result, according to the report's author, Clive Bates, Professor Davis Sweenor, and Eli Lair. It goes on to say a lot of other things, and it says, I'm trying to find the most poignant one. I'll post the link so you guys can read the whole thing if you want to. The last paragraph says, the report is a siren call for reform and takes the world as it is, not as the authors wish it to be, making a powerful argument for compassionate harm reduction in place of rigid abstinence. For whoever the new head of the FDA may be, the R Street report should be required reading. So, yeah, they're saying basically that Trump has the opportunity to correct this action that's been going on over the last 3 or 4 years with his placements for the FDA and HHS. And so let me, my batteries are low. That's awesome. Let's go back over here. What do you guys think? We talked about it a few times since the inauguration, but do you think that, I'm expecting any day that we're going to hear some good news from the Trump administration about e-cigarettes and the FDA regulations either being repealed in whole or put on pause until they can be reviewed. Do you guys think that'll happen, or am I crazy? Do you think there's a possibility? What do you think the percentage chance of that happening is? I'm in the 90% range, I think.
All right. Well, you just read a lot.
Yep.
So, the first thing, my first reaction when he said, the whole thing about you have to repeal two regulations to pass one, that sounds a lot like just PR gobbledygook to me. What constitutes a regulation? Like a regulation? Could a regulation be considered, part of the dress code for a particular agency? What does that mean? What does that actually mean? You have to remove two regulations. They're going to remove two blue laws in order to pass a regulation, that shuts down an entire industry, like they did with e-cigs. It just doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, I think it just means going forward, if you...
I appreciate the sentiment.
Right.
I absolutely appreciate the sentiment, but when it comes to, nuts and bolts, what is that actually going to look like? I just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how that's going to affect really the FDA deeming regulations. The only thing that's going to happen, I think, the Trump administration or someone that he appoints or hires to a certain position in the FDA or HHS is going to have to specifically look to these regulations. I don't think at some point an agency is going to, or an entity of the government is going to say, I propose this regulation. I know I have to repeal two, so let's pick deeming regulations from the FDA and blah, blah, blah from blah, 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 and we'll repeal those, and here's our one that we want to pass.
Now, if the Trump administration is going to review every single regulation that each agency tries to pass, and if they err on the side of individual freedom, great.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that that's the way it's going to go. I really am.
Excellent. But I don't see any proof of any of that yet, and I'm eagerly awaiting.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens over the coming months. It just happened within the last week, and I think everyone's assholes in DC right now are watertight as a duck's, so no one's really doing much of anything. But you like that Southernism, Nick?
That's good. Never heard that before.
Yeah, everyone's kind of puckered up there in DC right now. It's going to take them a little while to get used to how things are working now and relax a little bit, and then they're going to want to sneak a regulation in there somewhere, and they're going to say, "Oh, wait a second."
And that's good. I think that's a net positive. I want them scared. I want them afraid for their jobs right now because they deserve that. Across the board, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. They all deserve to be afraid for their fucking jobs right now.
Absolutely,
because
agree.
they've done an absolutely terrible job for the last
forever.
100 years.
100 years. Yep.
It's time to at least pay a little bit of lip service to individual rights and individual freedom. I'd like to see some of that.
Yeah.
Nick, where are you at, Nick, on the percentage? What percentage chance do you think we have of Donald Trump's administration pausing or repealing FDA deeming rights?
I get the feeling, and this is based on no information. This is based on
just intuition,
my gut, just
oh no,
gut instincts. I feel like they're going to get completely. I mean, I feel like they're going to get completely repealed. I think they're going to just shut them down like they never existed, and then put in something else in place. I mean, yeah, fingers crossed, whatever, knock on wood, none of that really does anything. No, but I think it's going to get completely repealed.
And I'll say it again, I'm not a huge fan of Trump, to say the least.
But he's a terrible person. He's just the worst.
He's tremendously terrible. Anyway, but I do feel like, I guess I'm 60% positive that there will be a net positive as far as e-cig regulations as a result of him becoming president. But that's just comparing what would have happened under Hillary Clinton, which is would have been status quo, which means we shut down within 2 years.
Right. Yeah. Had a thought, completely left my brain.
That's fine.
I wish I had a sip of bourbon right now, Jay.
I'm drinking scotch. I'm sorry.
Well, drink a sip of scotch for me. I'll see if I can remember what it was. We were talking about the FDA deeming regulations. Okay. So let's assume then that the FDA deeming regulations, they don't touch them. They don't get repealed at all. Trump has already issued a moratorium on hiring new federal employees. The FDA was already short, 1,000 workers or something they had short. Do you think that even if they don't repeal, which is a chance that they don't repeal the deeming regulations, that the FDA under the Trump administration will even have the muscle on the bone to enforce them?
Well, it depends, because the devil's in the details, I think. No more, federal agency hires. Does that include contractors, which is what the FDA heavily relies on for enforcement? They don't do the enforcement themselves. They contract out enforcement. So would that affect contracts? I don't know. The devil's in the details.
Yeah.
But by and large, in general, I would say, yes, it would heavily affect enforcement. And that's that was going to be an issue regardless, enforcement. It would destroy the community. So you and I wouldn't feel comfortable speaking online about this stuff, because that would put us under the magnifying glass. But would mom and pop shops be put out of business, run out of business overnight? I don't see that they have, Even if there wasn't a hiring freeze, I don't see that they would have the manpower to do that. And there are a lot of federal regulations that are like that. Around for 50 years for marijuana, any sort of contraband, pipes and all that stuff, all the paraphernalia and stuff. Lots of states just ignored it. Even though it was technically illegal at the federal level, that's been going on for decades. So, vape stuff could very well fall under the same type of purview, even if nothing changed over the next 2 years. But that's far from an ideal scenario.
What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, like Jay said, the devil's in the details. We don't know much of anything at this point. And like I said, everything that I think is just gut instinct.
Yeah, me too.
It's
just off of observations of watching what Trump has done in his first couple of weeks and how I know that he's anti-regulation and pro-small business. I don't think he gives, again, two shits about smoking or vaping.
Right. He is very pro-small business. He always talks about small business and helping small business. And yeah, vapor industry in the United States is a small business, and it affects a lot of small business people. So you're right. I don't think he cares about smoking or vaping either way. I think he cares about small business.
Right.
And along, sorry, go ahead, finish your point.
I was just going to say, it seems to be that's the road that we're going down. Is once we get to the end of the road, at the end of the road is pro small business, anti-regulation, doesn't have anything to do with vaping or smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I don't care how we get there, just as long as we get there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so much of Trump's kind of mantra over the last year or so has been anti-liberal, anti-left-wing, anti-democrat. And frankly, the fight against e-cigs has been liberal, left, and Democrat.
That's correct.
So it seems to me, just going by his playbook, that he would defend vaping just to spite the left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
true.
Noct makes a good point. He says, I doubt that the deeming is even in his sights. I imagine that he will defund FDA rather than try repealing, which I doubt he can do. Again, I don't care how we get there as long as we get there. If he defunds the FDA and they can't enforce it because they don't have funds or employees or whatever, that's fine. It'll kick the can down the road for us and give us more time to work on solutions. So that's what we need to be doing.
And that's exactly what it'd do. If it all happens at the administrative level, at the executive level, then we are literally just doing that. We're kicking it down the road until the next Democrat gets elected.
Which is why we need to spend these next 4 years. Again, always the priority is changing the predicate date to August 8th. 2016. Mm-hmm. Once we do that, we need to immediately, and we should already, someone somewhere should already be working on proposed verbiage for legislation that can be passed while we have a vaping-friendly Senate, Congress, and executive office. So those are the steps I think we need to be taking over the next 2 to 3 years, and hopefully get everything enacted, because there's no guarantee he's going to win re-election in 4 years' time. But it's a lot harder, again, for the next administration or the next president, even if it's in 8 years from now, to go back and then repeal legislation that has not only been passed, but has been enforced for a while by that time. So if we can get federal legislation to reclassify vapor products away from tobacco products in the next 2 or 3 years, I think that is definitely what we need to be spending our time and energy on.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay, by the way, every time you vape and blow it out, you turn green.
That's the drawbacks from using a green screen.
I want to let you know, if you're watching this for the first time and you don't know what vaping is and you're a smoker, that is not what vapor does to you. It does not make you turn green. It's just Jay's green screen.
Well, it makes my background turn green, not my face.
The vapor coming out, you look like a dragon. And then when you blew it in front of you and it came up over your face, you did turn green. Kind of a cool effect. That's the color, by the way, the Patriots are going to be Sunday after the Atlanta Falcons whip that ass.
Green. Wait, why are they going to be green?
Because they're going to be puking or something or crying. I don't know.
Oh, that's the green part is up to your imagination.
Why can't you guys? Neither of you guys are from Atlanta. Why can't you like root for my team?
Well, I'd say it's closer to me than New England is.
I'm not allowed to. I'm just not. Casey is from Jersey, and she is, I know, a New York Jets fan.
Oh,
and so I know it's a rough life to live.
Understand.
And so she really hates Tom Brady and the Patriots.
I would appreciate a PM on Facebook from both of you, like just congratulating me after we win.
Okay. Well, I'm actually hoping the Patriots win. Sure. I mean, the Patriots lose because they've won a lot over the last several years, and the Falcons, I think, have done a good job building their organization. And also, there's a young man who's a rookie out of Florida, and he went to the same high school I went to. I graduated with his brother. Actually, his brother actually played for the San Diego Chargers for a couple of years and the Philadelphia Eagles as safety, and now his younger brother is a safety rookie for the Atlanta Falcons. His name's Keanu Neal, out of University of Florida and South Sumter High School in Bushnell, Florida. And he's going to be playing in the Super Bowl at 21 years old. That's pretty awesome. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Fitz's comment was the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Go sports team ball. Hooray for goal units.
Oh, I love that kind of humor.
Beat the opponent soundly. Yeah. That is funny.
But the other thing you need to remember is that Matt Ryan is a graduate from Boston College. I think he's gonna throw us one or two picks. Just
maybe he'll deflate the ball before he goes out and let Brady have a better ball or something. I don't know. You're exactly right.
We're gonna do next week on Deflategate. How's that?
Deflategate. Okay.
Sure.
Matt White, you're exactly right. Number 22, Keanu Neal. That's right. Keep an eye on him. I think he might get rookie. I don't know. He had a great season as a rookie. So, and I think he missed a couple games and he was still leader. But anyway, that's got absolutely nothing to do with vaping. We took a little bit of a side turn there. Hello, Dark Light Vapor UK. How's it going?
Sports.
Thank you for tuning in. We have a few minutes left, about 7. So, yeah, we've covered up all the main topics I think we had to talk about. Do you guys have any questions or comments or anything that you'd like our opinions on in the last few minutes before we go?
And we wait 20 minutes.
And we wait for you while we're waiting for you guys to type in some stuff. Let me just remind you, if you're watching now, don't forget to smash that like button down there. Share the replay video when we get it up on the VCC Live Facebook page. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're here usually every Thursday at 8.
Do I need to subscribe to the channel, Kevin?
Are you subscribed?
No.
What?
You're an ass. You are an ass.
What?
Not.
God.
I just never thought about it. Just because I don't. Okay. Now I'm subscribed.
Oh,
now you have 2176.
2176. Nice.
There you go.
We're going to do a giveaway at 3,000.
We're going to give away a Patriots signed official ball by Jay DeLuca.
I'll give away my green screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like. See, Knox says Texas has tobacco 21 and a 5 cents per milliliter tax introduced. That's one that we didn't cover, but yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more like
Texas.
that.
Yep.
What is your favorite all-time flavor?
That's not. I can't even answer that question.
Yeah, that's
Vape?
not a.
Jeez, I don't know.
Yeah, are you talking about vaping? Because my answer is bourbon.
Mine would have to be steak, medium rare.
Yeah, just mine is steak with bourbon poured on top. So there you go.
Actually, bourbon makes a hell of a demi-glaze.
Yeah, it does. That's true. You are correct about that. No, I haven't got a skill RDA yet. I'm still waiting. I'll hit up Kent. I want to buy one. They're not for sale in the United States, though, so it doesn't make sense. I mean, I can't buy one.
Let me flip over here. I'll show you guys real quick while we're waiting on people to put any questions if they have any. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, if you're a vaping industry business, check out Breathe Magazine, BRETHmagazine.com. I started this last month, and we're getting the ball rolling to have the first issue out at the end of April for May and June. All 4 of us, all of us. It's not shameless at all. It's it is shameless. It's not shameful. It's all of us will be contributing to the content of the magazine. Nick, Jay, Matt, and myself, as well as a whole host of other contributors from across the country in the vaping industry. From various, we're going to do entertainment. We're going to have government relations, advocacy, society, fun stories, stuff like that. So yeah, check it out. Make sure you reserve your space if you're looking for an ad for Breathe Magazine. There's a cool little graphic George did for us. But yeah, so make sure you check that out, brethmagazine.com, or you can email me, breathemagazine@gmail.com. So
I'm really excited to see Stanley the Viking on the cover of that magazine.
That's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to sell 1 million copies.
yeah, don't hold your breath.
When do you need our articles submitted by? I still have no idea what I'm going to write about.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It'll be early to mid March probably. So you have about 5 weeks, maybe 5-6 weeks.
Oof.
You should be able to come up with something.
Okay, just random,
Hopefully.
whatever. Okay.
No, we had a specific thing for you, but I'll tell you. I think I had posted it in our private group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Pennsylvania's holding council meeting to discuss further vape restrictions. Okay, thanks for that positive news there, Bill. I'm just trying to see if there's anything before we go real quick.
Next week, if you guys don't mind, I would like to kind of cross the border a little bit and talk a little bit about the whole vaping, marijuana, cannabis, CBD thing a little bit. I've had some personal questions come across my desk from some old friends of mine, from high school, college years. A lot of people are going through anxiety issues, and they're having a hard time trying to traverse all the information that's out there as far as CBD, marijuana, vaping, dry herb, this and that. So I wouldn't mind talking a little bit about that next week.
Sure. We talked about it a little bit in previous ones, but we can cover it more. Mm-hmm. I got to be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about it, so it's just going to be my personal opinion.
And I don't either. I think maybe that's what we talk about is what folks need to know.
Yeah. Matt should be back with us too, and I'm sure he's a pro. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Dark Knight Vapor UK says, what do you think of Donald Trump saying about streamlining the FDA? You talking about making the process easier for companies, and I think what he's talking about, what I've seen anyway. Oh no, FDA. You're talking about for drug. Are you talking about for drug approval?
It's going to be too long to even answer that question.
I think he's talking about the drug approval process and streamlining it. And I think I think it's a great thing. I think you have people out there with terminal illnesses that are dead by the time the FDA gets around to approving drugs that may have helped them either extend their life or help their condition. So anything that we can do to be a more pragmatic or take a more pragmatic approach to public health, I think is a good thing in the United States. I think we're behind some other countries on that, and we're paying for it at the public health level. And that's my opinion. Dark Light Vapor UK.
I mean, for me, it's always been about disclosure. I don't care if your drug could possibly do nothing or harm you, as long as you disclose what the potential is, or if you disclose that, hey, we don't fucking know what this drug will do, but take it, you might like it. As long as you're honest, that's all I care about.
Well, I've never been in a position where I've had a terminal disease, and knock on wood, hope that never happens. But if I am, and a company says to me, we have a product that it's experimental, we're not sure, but it could help you in a certain way. If you have a terminal illness, I think my mindset would be anything that could help me.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And chronic pain, anything, all of the above. As long as the company is honest, they should be free to sell whatever the hell they want.
Right.
But if something goes wrong and it's found that the company is dishonest, then you should be allowed to sue the fuck out of them.
Yeah, the fuck out of
them.
The
fuck.
Well, that's the one thing in America that you can do without much impedance, and that's sue the fuck out of people. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that part's already covered. I didn't see anything else earth-shattering there for questions or anything. So, any closing thoughts, Jay, Nick?
Wonderful show. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for everything, Kevin. Love being here every week.
Yeah.
I mean,
I need to make juice for my wife now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't really have anything. Stay vigilant. lots of stuff happening in lots of states, and it's directly going to affect vapors. So
Yeah.
And let's talk dope next week.
we're talking dope next week.
It's going to be dope.
420.
So,
420 blaze it.
yeah.
Yo.
Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure, again, that you hit that like button real quick before you log out. Please share the replay video. I'll probably post it up either later tonight or tomorrow whenever I see it that it's finished on YouTube, and edit it and get the links in and everything like that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the VCC Live page on Facebook and join that. It's where we post the reminders for the show and the link and stuff like that. Nick, what happened? Who said something?
Oh, no. Rob said dubage.
Dubage.
That's a man from my generation right there.
Dubage. All right, guys, we will see you all next week. Remember, you don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something. Get involved.
Dubage.